up, everyone? This is Derek from Classic Game Room. This is the Nintendo 64. And the Nintendo 64 is kind of an important console. I mean, it's a console that changed video games. It's a console that had a really weird controller. But I think one of the coolest things about the N64 is that it's a console we all have memories of. You know, I grew up with the NES, but I like to think that the Nintendo 64 is the console when video games grew up with me. I always remember this system as the system that made gaming like a social event, right? Like, it didn't just change games, it changed my perception of games. You know, the N64 kind of brought video games out of the basement and into the party. And that was a pretty awesome time. So join us in celebrating the Nintendo 64, all of its great games. Share your memories in the comments. And without further ado, here are the top 10 Nintendo 64 games of all time. Lots of memories. Way more than 64.
Even though it was only the second game, Mario Kart 64 changed the game. Everything this series is today, it is because of Mario Kart 64. And it didn't matter that this was the best racing game on a system packed with great racing games. It didn't matter that seeing Peach's polygons made us understand why Mario bothers. No, what mattered was, this was a multiplayer revelation. I mean, Mario Kart 64 was a great game, but with 4 players, it was transcendent. If the Nintendo 64 was the party system of the 90s, this was the game that fired up the engine, and then used a mushroom.
Congratulations! Hee I got it! Stupid logo! Yeah, that's better.
You know that reputation Nintendo has, being the system for little kids? Well, that really gained steam with this system. It just wasn't a place where things got mature very often, let alone shit-faced. I mean, if all the platforming stars of the Nintendo 64 got together for a party, Conker would have gotten drunk during the appetizers and tried to Candy Kong in the broom closet. Obviously, that kind of M-rated behavior made his game really stand out, but it was more than that. Conker had all the good things about Rare, but with less of those awful collection quests. It was like Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64, only entertaining, and a little more hungover.
I think I know what's gonna happen now. Oh, yep, fantastic.
Multiplayer games, platform games, even racing games. Nintendo 64 had them. Had a bunch of them, actually. One thing it didn't have was RPGs. And if Mario had to do everything, well, so be it. Paper Mario picked up right where Super Mario RPG left off, 5 years and a whole console generation earlier. It had the same unique platformer RPG gameplay, but with a gorgeous new look, turning the entire game into moving pieces of paper. A paper that covered up some pretty significant holes. I mean, Paper Mario was a 2D game on a 3D system, and a great RPG on the Nintendo 64. I was at the beach when this game came out. Actually, I was on my way to the beach with a couple friends. And before we left, we decided to stop and get a copy of this new Smash Brothers game. We had no idea what a mistake that was. While we were all getting ready for fun in the sun, girls in bikinis, we decided to pop this thing in, see what the big deal was. Suffice to say, we never made it to the beach. We'd never seen anything like this Smash Brothers game. Whatever it was, we couldn't stop playing it. It was multiplayer so good, and so fast, and so frantic, it kept us away from girls in bikinis. And that's pretty good multiplayer. If you added up all the time I spent playing my Nintendo 64, this game would probably be responsible for half of it. I mean, there are addictive games, and then there's Star Fox 64.
Do a barrel roll.
You know, it only took about an hour or so to get to Venom and finish the game, but you were never finished with this game. No matter how many times you played it, you always seemed to find a new path or see a new ending. From the tight controls to the fast gameplay and the hilarious dialogue, everything about this game was meant to hook you in. And it did. Star Fox 64 was the ultimate rail shooter. And you can make a pretty strong argument that it still is.
You'll never defeat Android!
There had only been 3 console Zelda games, and only 1 3D Zelda game. So when it was time for number 4, it's not like Nintendo had to do anything crazy. The formula wasn't even close to being stale. All they had to do was make another really good 3D Zelda game. Instead, they made something very, very different. If its predecessor was a Hollywood blockbuster, Majora's Mask was like an artsy independent flick. Daring, and bold. It looked like Zelda, even played like Zelda, but it didn't think like Zelda. Majora's Mask balanced familiar gameplay with an unfamiliar tone, even unsettling. Not to mention a time mechanic that basically made it Nintendo's answer to Groundhog Day. The result was a haunting, complex sequel that no one expected. Before the internet, there were bicycles. Before lobbies, there were front porches. Before servers and headsets and obnoxious 12-year-olds up past bedtime, there was sitting on a couch. There was getting together with friends. There was GoldenEye 007. There are a lot of reasons the Nintendo 64 is remembered as a multiplayer system. Those reasons are entirely supplemental to this. This is the reason. The game that set a course for the industry that it's still following to this day. GoldenEye was revolutionary in a way few video games ever have been. It redefined an entire genre and turned it into the genre. It made high school a lot more fun too.
What?
Fast forward 3 years after GoldenEye. It was the year 2000. And things were about to change. The PlayStation 2 was only a couple months away. A new console generation was about to begin, and it seemed like the Nintendo 64 had run out of ammunition. And then she showed up. If GoldenEye was the revolution, Perfect Dark was the evolution. It simply had no equal in terms of its size, and gameplay, and beauty. All the incredible games Rare had done for this system, it had all led to this one stunning shooter. This was the apex of Rareware. I mean, Bond was golden, but Dark was perfect.
Hello!
This game has 15 worlds, each one with more color and craziness and creativity than the one before it. But you know what? When I think about this game, this groundbreaking game, that's not what I think about. I don't think about any of those places. I think about this. I mean, for most of us at the time, this one moment was something really special. These were our very first steps into 3D gaming. For all the incredible memories this game had in store for me, that's still the one I remember most. The sound of birds chirping, and my own footsteps, that feeling of total, three-dimensional freedom of movement in a video game. Super Mario 64 changed everything. And when you were playing it, even back in 1996, you knew you were playing history.
Here we go!
Zelda games are always great. The only question is, how great are they going to be? But today's Zelda games, as great as they are, they're always trying to outdo something else. You know, A Link Between Worlds really tried to outdo A Link to the Past. Twilight Princess tried to outdo this one. This one didn't have to outdo anything. The day Ocarina of Time was released, it was the greatest video game I had ever seen. And it knew it, too. Of course, a lot of people say that. A lot of younger people ask why. But I think you had to be there to really understand. I mean, that feeling of freedom in Mario 64, baby steps compared to the moment you laid eyes upon Hyrule Field. And you realized those places over the horizon were places you had to walk to. Oh, and you better get there before the sun sets because, yeah, time passed too. I mean, this wasn't about 3 screens left and 2 screens up. This was about adventure in a grander sense than we ever could have imagined. And it was a game that made you imagine, how could it possibly get any better than Ocarina of Time? Want to know the answer? It still hasn't.